He's just started setting up an expansion there, and you go own it. But, you know, and this was a fairly safe guess. Basically, he had something to go creep if Taker hadn't actually expanded there. There's not a whole lot that's going to go on here. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Tier 2 typically works against Orc. Generally, what people do, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure exactly why, Ghost Stop is not doing this. What a lot of people do against Orc at Tier 2, if they start out with ghouls, is they add a second crypt, and they immediately pump out... They immediately pump out a couple of Gargs, like 2 or 3, because typically when you start out with ghouls, your opponent is going to go for wyverns. So they will pop out a couple of Gargs so that, you know, those first few wyverns that come out don't totally own your ghoul army if you ever have to fight. Okay, so Ghost Stop sees Taker's base, and this is weird. Let's pause it. 3, 2, 1, pause. There's... Clearly, unless he hit it in the back, which he didn't, there's no bestiaries in sight. There's a fortress that's almost on its way to level 3, and there don't seem to be any hidden buildings anywhere. Once again, something very, very weird is going on. We'll find out what it is in a little bit. Okay, now that I'm done talking about that, let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. As I was saying, typically you want to get a few Gargs out at Tier 2, and that will help you deal with the wyverns and keep your ghouls alive. And then usually what they do is they start adding fiends as well with web, because... And if you can force enough fights at that point, webbed fiends and ghouls are pretty effective. There's a nice little move here by Ghost Stop where he gets surrounded, but he uses his level 2 coil and his ghouls to kill one of the direwolves, which go down pretty quickly, and that breaks the surround. Nothing too special there, but it's just kind of a nifty little move. Anyway, the other thing that you can do at Tier 2, if you don't want to do the whole dual crypt thing and go for Gargs, and this is what I see pros doing this a lot on Lost Temple. I don't know why exactly. It's really... and you look at most pro games I watch. Okay, southwest corner of the map. Son of a bitch. That's where Taker was in... Okay, let's pause. 3, 2, 1, pause. That's where Taker was in the beginning of the game. He was creeping out. He snuck his units past the shop and crept out the southwest corner of the map and immediately expanded there and has proceeded to set up towers at it. He's using that ramp and building towers along the side of it. Those things are going to be really hard to take down with a ground army. And he's also, in order to make sure that Ghost Stop isn't going to be able to do anything about this at the moment, he's going to go ahead and push Ghost Stop's base. However, once again, Ghost Stop's base is extremely well constructed. Those acolytes are really, really blocked off, and even if his army wasn't there, at this point in the game, you know, you got 2 heroes, 2 grunts, and the spirit wolves. That would be enough to really put the hurt on your acolytes. Actually, Taker can't do a whole lot to Ghost Stop's acolytes. Anyway, let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Obviously, you know, just looking at the sheer number of ghouls to the number of units that Taker has, you'll notice actually, Taker doesn't have much of an army here. This is fairly typical of a fast expanding opponent at this point in like kind of like early Tier 3. They're actually still, you know, if they fast expanded and threw up a lot of towers, they're not going to have a lot of units yet. So, you know, you don't have to pretend like just because they have an expansion up, they immediately have a gigantic army. You can, you know, you can kind of manage them a little bit. Alright, here we're gonna... Don't worry about the creeping in the middle, it's not that interesting. Let's look at Ghost Stop's base. Here's where that base structure is coming into play. See those acolytes are kind of fleeing to the left side of his base, and the heroes and the grunts are just kind of pitifully futzing around trying to find a target, but they can't because they're just really blocked off. There are sort of spaces like between the ziggurat and the slaughterhouse where the wolves could pass through, but they end up getting blocked just by a grunt that's kind of muttering around trying to do something, trying to get through. So basically, his own units end up getting kind of used against him in that case. It's one of those things where even though it's not a total block off, it makes it so he can't really do much of anything. And it's just Ghost Stop's normal buildings. He's only got one slow tower here, and I think he's starting up a spirit tower as well that's going to help him out a bit. Okay. Also, he looked in Ghost Stop's base. He didn't see any bestiaries, and he saw a relatively fast, especially for somebody who fast expanded, he saw him getting a fast tier 3. That means that the orc opponent is likely going to be able to get that fortification upgrade on his burrows and towers that's going to make him, give him fortified armor instead of heavy. So when you can normally trash those, burrows and towers with destroyers, now the destroyers actually aren't going to do much damage to him. That is why Ghost Stop very wisely is getting meat wagons now. Okay, let's pause again. Sorry about this. In 3, 2, 1, pause. There's going to be two things going at once here, and it's kind of hard to keep track of, but you're getting kind of the base push on Ghost Stop by Taker, and also Ghost Stop pushing Taker's base with his meat wagon and ghoul army here. The only thing, once again, if you look at this here, that those two grunts and a Tauren chieftain and a Farseer is really enough to make you town portal normally, but now he's starting to upgrade some towers, and he's still got that really nice blocked off base format, so he's actually going to be able to keep most of his acolytes alive while pushing Taker's base. So let's unpause this. I'm actually going to talk about what's happening inside Taker, like as Ghost Stop is attacking the orc base, however, since we've already kind of gotten a demonstration of how Ghost Stop's base is allowing him to fend off Taker's army while pushing an assault of his own. So 3, 2, 1, unpause. Alright, here's something bad. It's nightfall, and if you can see a tower, like just with the fog of war on it, and you assign like a meat wagon to go attack it, and it's nighttime, the meat wagons actually can't see far enough to directly hit the enemy tower. So what they will do, unfortunately, is they will roll forward until they have that tower in their sight, and then they'll start shooting. But by that time, they're going to be within range of the tower, and being the flimsy little pieces of shit that they are, they're going to die very quickly, as you just saw. The only way around this is to have some kind of unit to spot for you. You can he could have sent his Lich out. In fact, he's going to kind of do that now. Actually, he's just going to bring his whole army in. You can send your Lich forward to spot for you and just coil him as he gets damaged. Or you can use a shade, but Ghost Stop just simply, he doesn't have enough lumber to get a shade at this point. However, once he broke through the towers, he immediately kind of rushed in with his ghouls and is going to try and take down as much shit as he possibly can. It's fairly obvious choice for him at this point to push Taker's main instead of actually going for that expansion, because like I said, those towers on that ramp are going to be a major problem. You know how I mentioned the whole sight issue for meat wagons won't shoot something until they can actually see it. Well, you get into problems because they can't actually see up a ramp, so you need some kind of flying unit, or you need to run something up the ramp before the meat wagons can even shoot the tower. Stacked on top of that, whenever you're attacking something uphill, you suffer some kind of miss percentage. I think you miss like 50% or 30% of your shots or something if you do that. Anyhow, it ended up being pretty good because Ghost Op is going to end up pretty much wiping out Taker's main here. This is... It was kind of do or die at this point, because up until now, if you look in Ghost Op's base, I don't know why Taker tried to do this. He sent in like a couple bats and a couple wyverns to try and harass, and they just ended up getting owned by towers. So that was kind of stupid. But it was kind of do or die at this point, because if you noticed, up until now, Taker had a fairly small army. He just had like a couple of grunts. I think he was starting to make some air units, but that's kind of a natural consequence of when you are towering like a bitch. If you see somebody towering a lot, just kind of know that, at least for the meanwhile, you're not going to have to deal with much of an army from them, and you can afford to be very active because they can't fight you head on. So, you either creep jack them or find a spot in their base that is weak and exploit it. Or crack it open with meat wagons if you have to. Taker's bitching about lag. You got your lucky fast expansion, pal. Don't complain. I'm not in the least bit biased towards the Undead or anything like that, by the way. I'm totally fair and balanced, like friggin' Fox News. Those of you outside of America definitely won't get that, and most of you in America probably won't care either. Once again, look at Ghost Op's base. Look at all this stuff. It's Tauren Chieftain, 2 wolves, grunt. They're just kind of running around willy-nilly, like, what the hell do I do with myself? Because they can't actually get through to the ghouls, or they can't actually get through to the acolytes, which are normally such a huge weakness for Undead, and get so